This is Mac OS Ken.
Apple shares surge again. Regulators get all regulatory. And there actually was an announcement for tvOS 18. Oops. It is Thursday, the 13th of June, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from macOS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSCan. The tear for Apple shares continues. In the wake of this week's double WDC announcement and double plus positive notes from analysts, ticker symbol AAPL picked up another 592 on Wednesday, a rise of 2.86%, closing at 213.07. It got higher during the day, though, hitting an intraday and all-time high of 220.20. MacRumor says that was enough to push the Cupertino company's market cap past Microsoft, once again making Apple the most valuable publicly traded company on the planet for a few minutes. During the trading session, Apple hit a market cap of $3.28 trillion, besting Microsoft's $3.25. Come the closing bell, they had traded again. By the end of the day, first place Microsoft was sitting on a market cap of $3.278 trillion versus Apple's $3.267. Holy something. Trying to rain on Apple's developer conference parade are a couple of regulatory bodies. We start in the U.S., where a piece from Apple Insider says 4 more states have joined the antitrust suit brought by the Department of Justice against the Cupertino company. The addition of Indiana, Massachusetts, Nevada, and Washington brings the number of participating states to 20. Nothing new in the amended filing naming the new participants, according to the report. Just a big haley-ho and welcome for the 4. From D.C., we jet to Japan, where the government is doing its impersonation of the EU Digital Markets Act. I told you a few weeks ago of debates in Japan's parliament over legislation that a piece from Apple Insider said would effectively emulate the EU's Digital Markets Act, including an apparent focus on third-party app stores. It was expected to pass, and pass it has, according to a report from 9to5Mac. Citing a piece from Kyoto News, the report says Japan's parliament passed an antitrust law on Wednesday that prevents big tech companies like Apple and Google from restricting third parties from selling and distributing apps on their platforms. The law also forces companies to let developers use payment platforms of their choice rather than native platforms. The new regulations also bar tech heavyweights from prioritizing their own services and search results. In other words, says 9to5Mac, Apple will have to make similar changes to those it already implemented in the EU earlier this year, but this time in Japan. Well, not this time. Apple has until the end of 2025 to comply. Tim Cook says Apple Intelligence may start tripping. Not really, but why not say it in a funny way? 9to5Mac has Apple's CEO admitting in an interview with the Washington Post that Apple Intelligence may hallucinate, but its responses will be very high quality. What are AI hallucinations? That is a question asked and answered by IBM. According to Big Blue, AI hallucination is a phenomenon wherein a large language model, often a generative AI chatbot or computer vision tool, perceives patterns or objects that are non-existent or imperceptible to human observers, creating outputs that are nonsensical or altogether inaccurate. So if you're wondering why Apple Intelligence will premiere this fall as a beta, sounds like that's your answer. Quizzed on the likelihood of Apple Intelligence pulling a nutty, Cook admitted Apple Intelligence is not 100% adding, "I think we have done everything we know to do, including thinking very deeply about the readiness of the technology in the areas we're using it in, so I am confident it will be very high quality, but I'd say in all honesty that is short of 100%. I would never claim that it's 100%. Still, Cook sees Apple Intelligence as a time saver for users, among other benefits. Keeping user privacy in mind as well, Cook says Apple took the time and the depth of thinking to come out with a product that they are proud of. If you want to see how trippy Apple Intelligence can be, you may have to wait. I mean, you will have to wait. It's not hitting until later this year, but when it does hit, you may have to wait. Mac Rumors contributor Aaron Paris has found lines of code indicating waiting lines for Apple's AI Play. In iOS 18, says the report, Apple Intelligence is codenamed Gray Matter. There are references to a waitlist with specific strings that say, "Join the Gray Matter waiting list" and "Joined waitlist." There's also wording that refers to it as a limited preview. According to that wording, while Gray Matter is in limited preview, you may experience unusually slow responses when not in a supported region. It's hard to know what that means exactly since we're reading between the lines. Mac Rumors thinks it's possible that the wait will only be for this summer's beta testers, not this fall's general consumer. Folks in the third round of Apple Vision Pro releases can now have dates for demos. I told you yesterday of Apple's plans to release its spatial computer in China, Japan, and Singapore. We'll call that round 2 on Friday, the 28th of June. That'll be followed by round 3 releases in Australia, Canada, France, Germany, and the UK on Friday, the 12th of July. It's those round 3 folks who know when they can try it out, as it did here in the US on its February release date. A piece from Mac Rumors says round 3 peeps can try the device out the same day it comes out. According to the report, starting on Friday, the 12th of July at 8 a.m. local time until the end of the day on Sunday, the 14th, Apple stores in the round 3 countries will allow customers to receive a Vision Pro demo on a first-come, first-served basis. The rest of this is guesswork. Mac Rumors assumes that after launch weekend, people will be able to make appointments for a Vision Pro demo, as was the case here in the States. The other guess is mine. I'm assuming Apple is going to let people in China, Japan, and Singapore try the thing out first, but I have yet to spot confirmation. News of expanded functionality for Apple Vision Pro. A piece from Upload VR says Safari on Apple's spatial computer will support WebXR by default under visionOS 2. If you're not sure what that is, the report explains. WebXR is the open standard API that enables web pages to display immersive content on headsets and support interactivity via controllers or hand tracking. While the current version of visionOS does support WebXR, it has to be turned on, and how to do that sounds not readily apparent. Currently, Upload VR says enabling WebXR requires enabling a feature flag in the advanced settings of Safari. With visionOS 2, it will be on automatically, though it will not do everything. The piece says Apple's headset will not support WebXR augmented reality, limiting available experiences to VR only. While easier to use WebXR should increase offerings for Apple Vision Pro, Apple is upping its offerings as well. Another piece from Upload VR has the Cupertino company adding a decent amount of immersive video content in the relatively near future. Again, for the unfamiliar, the report explains the Apple Immersive Video format is 180-degree video with 8K resolution, stereoscopic 3D, and spatial audio. It's served from the Apple TV Plus subscription service with much higher bit rate than many other immersive video platforms. Upcoming titles include an ice diving episode of Adventure, episodes of Wildlife centered on elephants and sharks, a new outdoor experience series called Boundless, a new location series called Elevated, a new series from Red Bull centered around extreme sports, a short from the musician The Weeknd. There's something called Combat Ready, and a scripted short film called Submerged. That one's notable for a couple of reasons. First, it's directed by Academy Award winner Edwin Berger, and second, it is Apple's first scripted immersive video. I know I kept saying that Apple announced nothing for tvOS during Monday's keynote. They actually did, though it happened so fast, I pretty much forgot it happened as soon as it did. Thanks to our friends at 9to5Mac for reminding me of what I forgot. tvOS 18 will bring a new feature called Insight. If you're familiar with Amazon Prime Video's X-ray feature, you get the basic idea. Accessing Insight will do two things for the viewer: let them know what actor or actors are on screen, and what song is playing and what they're watching, assuming there is a song playing. Once accessed, you can click on the actors to find out what else they've been in. On the music side, you can add the playing song straight to your library in Apple Music. One major downside, it only works with Apple TV Plus content currently. One major upside, it's tied into the whole Apple ecosystem. 9to5Mac explains, when using the existing remote feature, wherein you can use your iPhone as the remote for your Apple TV 4K, Apple will populate your iPhone's display with the info provided by Insight. This means you won't need to obstruct your view on the TV with the Insight panel, but instead you can view and interact with Insight entirely on your iPhone. Which the piece points out is pretty much what we all do anyway, turning to Shazam on our phones to ID songs or IMDb to figure out what else that so-and-so was in. It's not earth-shattering, but it's not nothing. Give me an A, give me a B, give me a C, give me a D, what have you got? I've got letters. Robert wrote in earlier this week saying, I think Apple Intelligence is a brilliant move. For current Apple users, these features are great, providing we can run them. I think they have been integrating these features into the operating system already. On the days I go into the office for work, my phone tells me how long it'll take to get there and the best route via Apple Maps without me asking. It does the same thing when I'm going to my mom's house. It also does the same thing when I am returning home from either of those places. The way they are implementing these features fits right into how Apple does things. Putting in useful features for their users is in Apple's DNA, not add a bunch of useless bells and whistles. Under the subject line, "A Sherlocking we will go," Timothy writes to say, it's apparent Apple has been on a Sherlocking spree over the past year. Journal, it's a Sherlock of day one. Passwords is a Sherlock of one password. I mean, really. Tiles, it's a direct Sherlock of Magnet, which has been around for years. It's comical how bad they ripped this one off. Even more comical is that Tiles isn't even as usable and easy as Magnet. And Mail. Their new feature for the categories has been in Gmail for 15 years or so. They even use the same names, in the same order. They didn't even try to hide it, says Timothy. One of these days there will be major lawsuits from these developers. At least Apple could have the decency to buy them out first. Well, thank you both, gentlemen, for writing in. You both rock. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.